And anybody that tries to cheat the system gets kicked off the network. So Bitcoin is better thought of as a protocol, a fair, equitable protocol for people to trade economic value or store economic value. And it happens that the more people that use the protocol, the more valuable it becomes.
Hey guys, welcome back to Everyday Finance. In this video, Michael Saylor discusses Bitcoin and crypto, according to Michael Saylor, the founder of MicroStrategy and former CEO and executive chairman. He strongly believes that we are witnessing a new and exciting era for Bitcoin, the world's leading cryptocurrency by market cap. Highlighting the approval of multiple spot Bitcoin exchange-traded funds by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission in January. Many see this as a pivotal moment that signals a noteworthy change in the regulatory environment for the cryptocurrency. The SEC's approval of Greenlight was an important milestone in debunking misunderstandings surrounding Bitcoin, such as its association with being a digital currency or a tool for illicit activities. The involvement of prominent Wall Street firms like Fidelity and BlackRock solidifies Bitcoin's standing, signaling that it is not a fleeting fad, but rather a viable long-term investment prospect. Up until now, the spot has been quite successful. Bitcoin ETFs are a strong indication of the potential future for the leading cryptocurrency asset in the upcoming months and years, as stated by Saylor. The approval of the spot Bitcoin ETFs has opened up the cryptocurrency industry to a multitude of financial advisors and institutional investors. They are currently exploring the best ways to participate in this emerging market. Speaker anticipates a prolonged period of heightened interest in Bitcoin, akin to a gold rush. They predict that over the next 10 years, numerous companies will follow in the footsteps of MicroStrategy, who adopted Bitcoin as a standard in August 2020, signaling a significant shift in the cryptocurrency landscape. We will share excerpts from the speaker's latest video featuring DigitraCom, and lots of things Michael Saylor discusses, so please watch the video to end and share this video, and subscribe our channel Everyday Finance. Thanks.
That's a misunderstanding of what it is. Obviously, Ponzi schemes are operated by criminals, with a lot of action and behind the scenes to recycle capital. Bitcoin is better described as a city in cyberspace. If you imagine a city that's 276 blocks high, 276 blocks wide, 276 blocks deep, that would be about 21 million. And it's a network, a shared network that people all around the world voluntarily enter into, and you can buy one of those blocks, and you can take custody of that block, and you can keep it for 100 years, and you can give it to your children's children's children. So if you think of it as digital property or the greatest city in cyberspace, it's when you move into Manhattan and you tell all your friends to move in Manhattan, and they all move to Manhattan because Manhattan's the greatest city in the U.S. and the price of land in Manhattan goes up. That's not a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, exactly.
That's an example of a place where everybody wants to live because it's the best city to live in North America. And people have been moving to Manhattan for 400 years. And the price of real estate in Manhattan has been going up for 400 years. Imagine a city in cyberspace where 8 billion people want to live. And, they don't live physically, but they live economically. Everybody in the world has a problem. And the problem is they would like to store their capital and preserve their capital. And they'd like for someone not to steal it, right? So they all need this bank in cyberspace where they can store their life savings and know that it will hold its economic value. If God came down from heaven and offered to set up a bank with 21 million coins and keep the money in heaven and let you telepathically zap it back and forth and make sure no one cheated anybody and do that for the next million years, that would be a better bank than any bank we have, and it would be a better currency than we have. But, God's not going to do that. And so the next best thing is if you create a bank based upon cryptography, based upon computer science, and you give a copy of that software to everybody in the world that wants to use it, and then everybody voluntarily buys and sells those units we call Bitcoin and holds them if they wish to hold them. And anybody that tries to cheat the system gets kicked off the network. So Bitcoin is better thought of as a protocol, a fair, equitable protocol for people to trade economic value or store economic value. And it happens that the more people that use the protocol, the more valuable it becomes. Not so different than English, the language. The more people speak English and the more money the people that speak English have, the more useful it is for you to learn English. And like New York City, the more people that move to New York City with more money doing more things, the more valuable your real estate is in New York City. So it's basically a network. It's the world's greatest monetary network, a digital monetary network. And what's special about it is it's open, permissionless. Nobody owns it. No country controls it. No company controls it. No individual controls it. It is the result of an experiment where the 50 predecessors all failed and thousands of copies failed. And it's the winner in this Darwinian market economy for money. And what you have is a network where hundreds of millions of smart people with money have entrusted hundreds of billions, now $1 trillion or more of money to the network because it's a much more efficient way to do things. And that being the case, it's just the world's first scientifically rational engineering protocol for economics, for economic cooperation,
Yes.
or for monetary interchange. And that's something everybody needs. Nobody can stop, but most people don't understand. And the reason that it makes sense to spend 100 hours studying it right now, and the reason it makes sense to buy Bitcoin is all of my best investment ideas are things nobody could stop, everybody needs, and nobody understands.
Exactly.
Regardless of the opinions of critics such as Jamie Dimon and Warren Buffett, Bitcoin is gaining immense popularity in the Google search trends. In our rapidly evolving digital world, the role of Bitcoin is unique compared to other commodities. Unlike physical commodities such as gold, oil, and real estate, Bitcoin has a limited supply cap. For instance, if gold prices rise significantly, miners will be motivated to extract more gold, ultimately increasing the supply and reducing prices. However, Bitcoin does not face this limitation. Even commodities with a more fixed supply, like real estate and scarce art pieces, have constraints that do not apply to Bitcoin. This distinction makes Bitcoin stand out in the digital landscape. Let's delve further into Saylor's interview as he discusses the significance of Bitcoin.
I think Bitcoin is a brilliant system engineering achievement.
Agreed.
Because it is many, many parts. It has servo mechanisms in it, feedback systems. It has very intricate computer mechanisms and economic mechanisms. But the things that I focus on that are very beautiful to me, one is the idea of creating a crypto commodity. How do you create an asset without an issuer that nobody controls, that is self-sustaining?
Yeah.
And that's a first in human history. That is really a beautiful thing.
Probably the only one. Do you think we're going to get more of that, like other protocol?
In theory, you can create other crypto commodities, but it's very hard. And if they're serving as money, you'll tend to have all the money collapse to one. Like,
yes.
If
Exactly.
people use gold, they won't use silver.
Yes.
And so it's definitely the king crypto commodity. The other thing that's really beautiful about it is this brilliant leap from commodity to scarcity. It's the first time in human history that we created a commodity with a hard supply. Every money in history, glass beads and bales of tobacco and stone coins and copper tokens and paper currency and cigarettes and fiat currency, all of those things were uncapped. Every other commodity, soybeans and oil and natural gas and gold and silver, uncapped. We can create more of them. Land, timber, real estate. You can even extract land from the sea. You can create more of it. Bitcoin is the one commodity that you can buy and you can hold where it is absolutely capped 21 million. So if the price goes up by a factor of 100, the supply is invariant. There is no other commodity where the supply is invariant to the demand or to the price. That makes it perfect money. It makes it the best store of value asset. Most other commodities are much worse. If a commodity has a stock to flow ratio of 1 and you produce, twice as much, or the equivalent supply every year, it's not going to be good money. If the stock to flow is 50, it might be better money if you only inflate the supply by 2% a year, like gold. But it's still not great because every 30 years you cut your money in half if you inflate 2% a year. So this leap from the idea that there should be a 2% inflation rate to the idea that there should be a 0% inflation rate, that's a profound idea. Most classically trained economists and all the Keynesians would tell you 2%. 2% is the right number. We want 2% inflation. But 2% gives you a half-life of 30 years. 1%, you get to 72 years. 0%, you live forever. There's a pretty big difference between 0 and 200 basis points. One thing is you live forever, you're immortal. And the other thing is 30-year half-life, So,
Exactly.
So you don't think it's a lot, but it's profound. Do you want a building that will stand forever? Or do you want a building that will crumble in 30 years? And once you start thinking about that, you realize if you build a capital structure of a company or a family or a country on an asset that's crumbling every 30 years, your civilization's going to struggle. Gold's got a half-life of 30 years. The US dollar is inflating about 7 to 8% every year. That gives it a half-life of 10 years. Most currencies inflate at 14% a year. Gives you a half-life of 5 years.
5 years.
And then some currencies inflate and have a half-life of 18 months.
In a rapidly changing world, as we transition from the physical realm to the digital landscape, it is only natural that the financial system is undergoing a significant transition, something that critics of Bitcoin, like Diamond, fail to acknowledge. Perhaps they are too entrenched in the old ways that are now fading away. This is actually fortunate for everyday investors who have long been taken advantage of by the traditional finance industry. We are entering a new digital era, which was essentially initiated by the creation of Bitcoin about 15 years ago. Bitcoin is firmly established, and nothing can alter that fact. What are your thoughts on Saylor's interview and his predictions of a 10-year gold rush era for Bitcoin? If you learned something from this video, then please like this video and subscribe our channel Everyday Finance, and we will meet in next video. Thanks.